the King of Righteousness and the Divine Encounter. Welcome to this study. Today, we will explore a passage that combines history, theology, and transformative spiritual insight. Genesis 14:17-24 tells of Abraham's encounter with Melchizedek after a decisive battle. As we journey through these verses, imagine standing beside Abraham, feeling the tension of conflict behind him and the promise of divine encounter ahead. Let us walk together into this sacred moment, allowing God to illuminate each detail and speak to our hearts. After Abraham rescues Lot and defeats the coalition of kings led by Kedorlaomer, he returns. The Hebrew verb shub, meaning to return or turn back, carries a deeper spiritual message. It is not only a physical return, but also a return to God, a restoration of perspective and purpose. Pause for a moment and reflect on your own life. Consider the victories and challenges God has brought you through. How have these moments reshaped your character and your trust in Him? The encounter takes place in the Valley of Shaveh, also known as the King's Valley. Shaveh means level ground, a place where heaven and earth intersect. Imagine the symbolism: a valley leveled, ready for divine revelation, a sacred meeting space. Consider where God has created such spaces in your life, times when He has called you to pause, reflect, and receive His blessing. Verse 18 introduces Melchizedek, a figure of profound spiritual significance. He brings bread and wine and is identified as priest of God Most High. His name means King of Righteousness, and his city, Salem, means peace. Notice the inseparable nature of righteousness and peace. True leadership, true holiness, requires justice that restores and reconciles, not domination or coercion. Imagine what it would look like in your life to embody both justice and peace in every action, word, and decision. The bread and wine he offers are filled with symbolism. Bread, lakim, sustains life. Wine, yayin, convey joy, covenant, and renewal. Together, they foreshadow Christ's sacrifice, nourishing our spirits and mending our emotional wounds. Consider each challenge you face as an opportunity to partake in this living bread and wine. Let your heart be nourished by God's Spirit. Melchizedek blesses Abraham in the name of El Elyon, God Most High. El Elyon emphasizes God's supreme authority over heaven and earth. Reflect on your own identity. Are you finding your sense of worth in human approval? Or are you rooted in the eternal sovereignty of God? True security comes from God Most High, not from worldly measures. Verse 19 recounts the blessing, "Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth." The verb barak implies invoking divine favor with reverence. Abraham's victories are gifts from God. Imagine releasing every fear of scarcity, every worry about inadequacy. Receive the blessing God offers, knowing it is personal and life-giving. In verse 20, Melchizedek blesses God Most High for delivering Abraham's enemies into his hand. Abraham then gives him a tenth of all he has. Tithing is an act of trust and surrender. Consider giving not only material resources, but also your fears, burdens, and pride to God. Each act of surrender is a step toward freedom, peace, and spiritual alignment. Verse 21 introduces the King of Sodom, who offers a pragmatic but compromising deal. Keep the goods, but surrender the people. Abraham's refusal demonstrates integrity and allegiance to God above worldly reward. Here we see a model for resisting compromise in our own lives. Where might we be tempted to sacrifice our principles or spiritual well-being for comfort, recognition, or gain? Pause and reflect on these areas now. Abraham's response is deliberate, solemn, and measured. He swears by God Most High, emphasizing divine accountability. In your life, consider the promises you make before God. How can your decisions reflect integrity and surrender to His will? True spiritual leadership and personal holiness require courage and fidelity. Verse 24 highlights Abraham's care for his companions, ensuring their rightful share. True leadership nurtures the welfare of others. Consider the people around you, family, friends, colleagues, and how you can act with justice, integrity, and generosity toward them. Reflect on the broader theological picture. Hebrews connects Melchizedek to Christ, the eternal priest-king without beginning or end, who intercedes and blesses perfectly. Each element, bread, wine, tithing, blessing, prefigures Jesus' sacrificial love. Let your heart dwell on this reality. Christ sustains, heals, and empowers us continually. Now let us pause for reflection. Close your eyes if you are able. Imagine standing with Abraham, receiving bread and wine, blessed by Melchizedek. Feel the presence of God Most High. Let go of fear, anxiety, and the need for control. Surrender your burdens and receive His blessing fully. Consider these questions. Which kingdom am I choosing in my daily life? How do I respond to God's blessings and victories? Am I holding back in fear, pride, or self-reliance? How can I embody integrity, righteousness, and peace in every interaction today? Take a few deep breaths, letting these reflections settle. The passage invites you into radical dependence on God, generous surrender, courageous integrity, and alignment with His eternal kingdom. Every victory is His, every blessing is His, every challenge is an opportunity to trust and obey. As we conclude, remember that Abraham's example is a model for discipleship. Walk with integrity, serve with love, trust in God Most High, receive the bread and wine of His Spirit. Let your heart be nourished, your mind awakened, and your soul inspired to deeper worship and transformation into the image of Christ. Join us next time as we continue verse by verse through Genesis, discovering God's heart and His plan for your transformation. Walk in the blessing of God Most High, serve under the eternal priesthood of Jesus, and live with integrity and faith like Abraham. Reach us at Christ4Life1043gmail.com.